Aviation Sales and Marketing Executive Brief. This one is about calls to action, which is one of the key parts of the phase one in our marketing system, which is how we get new leads and new prospects and start interacting with them. So it's pretty key to make sure we're doing it right. So I'm Paula Williams.
And I'm John Williams. I'm the guy on the right in the picture.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is to
help you guys sell aviation stuff.
Exactly, aviation products and services. So one of the ways that we do that is to avoid what has traditionally been done in the aviation industry, which is random acts of marketing. And a good call to action is one of the defining factors that really separates the random acts of marketing from advertising that really makes a difference and really works. So we're going to show you how to take your results to the next level by adding one extra step onto every advertisement that you do. And you never should run any advertising without making sure you've got a good call to action. So you've all seen this. This is our long cycle marketing model. Phase one is advertising and prospecting. Phase two, building credibility and closing sales. And phase three, referrals, resales, and recaptures. So we're still in phase one, advertising and prospecting. The last video was about the blue arrows and how we decide which of those to use and how to make them better. But the second step in this process is really that first yellow box. In this case, it's download an ebook as the call to action from any and all of these blue arrows that we have in the example here. So you can have one call to action that serves many different advertisements, or you can have a very specific call to action for each of your advertisements. And we do recommend having one that's specifically coded so that you know whether the person that downloaded this ebook, as an example, came from a postcard or from your website or whatever. If you have separate landing pages, you can use the same call to action, but you'll be able to know which of those things they were using.
The old Madison Avenue approach of just putting your name out there just doesn't get it.
Exactly. You have to require some kind of interaction. There has to be a relationship. How the old model is basically the salesperson is chasing after somebody to buy the product. What we're doing here is more like dancing than chasing, where you take a step and then they take a step. And the first step that you're asking them to do is really what we're talking about here with a call to action. What we really want to do is evoke a response, and we want to evoke a very specific kind of response so that we know, how qualified this person might be or how interested this person might be. So to back up just a minute and tell you what time it is by telling you how to build a clock, if you'll bear with me for about 10 seconds, this won't take much longer than that. So the three elements of a campaign are
a list, offer, and presentation.
Exactly. And the call to action is?
About the offer.
About the offer, exactly. And you don't want to make just any offer. We've seen this one a lot. Get a free iPad or enter a drawing for a free iPad. What's wrong with this?
You get the wrong people in there. I mean, we always go and enter drawings for free iPads, even if we don't have a clue what the product is.
Exactly. An iPad is, one, it's too expensive, typically for a first interaction. Secondly, it is not specific enough. Everybody wants an iPad, regardless of whether or not they would have any interest in your product or service. So you may get a lot of people entering your drawing that have no idea what you even sell, and certainly no interest in being a customer.
Now, on the other hand, if you could determine that all the people entering are prospective customers, that would be different.
Exactly. So, there are ways to do that, but we do want to accomplish a certain number of goals with our call to action. We want to identify good potential customers. We want to qualify them, at least take a first step in qualifying them. And we want to learn as much as we can about them so that we'll be able to serve their needs better, and also have them learn about us so that they know whether or not our product or service is a good fit. There's a lot of education that has to happen in aviation before a sales can take place. So we're going to give you a little bit of dating advice. I bet this isn't what you were expecting in this video. If you're going on a first date with someone, you want to offer something specifically thoughtful and appreciated, right? That not just anybody would like, but that this person is specifically interested in. You also want to not offer too much because you don't want to freak them out. You don't want to appear to be too pushy. And you also don't want to ask for too much. So, if you ask them to fill out this form that has their social security number and shoe size, that is not going to be as effective because that's too much information for a first interaction.
And to offer them something thoughtful and appreciated means you have got to have done a little bit of research on your prospective clients.
Exactly. So you have to know something about them in order to do this well. One thing we really like using as a call to action is a downloadable ebook. And here's a few examples of some of those. 12 common logbook mistakes and how to avoid them. Now that is not going to be appealing to a 13-year-old, who's more interested in boys than in logbooks. So, this has a very specific demographic set of people that would be interested in this information, but it's very valuable to that particular person. This is ours, Powerful Tools and Techniques for Aviation Marketing. Only someone who has an interest in aviation marketing is going to take the time to download that and read it. 5 tough questions you should ask before investing in advanced flight training. Again, that's a very specific group of people that you're after. Making sense of private aviation, that's a slightly more general audience. Could be people that just fly once a year, or it could be people who are thinking about buying an airplane. Anatomy of an aircraft sale, that's very specific. People who are interested in an aircraft transaction, either buying or selling, would find this book very valuable. So again, you're looking for something that's very, very useful to a very small group of people. And those people would be the people that are the most likely to be a good customer for your product or service. Now, if you don't want to write a whole ebook or don't know how, or whatever the situation is, you could do just a special report, even 1 page of the right kind of information. In this case, a special report on pilot salaries this year or this quarter. Great current information, doesn't have to be a lot of writing, but it can be very, very valuable to the right person. A tip sheet, 10 ways to
find the best flight school for your particular goals.
Exactly, or 10 ways to fly safely in cold weather. Lots of different things that would be appealing to the right group of people. An industry glossary. We did one of these that was a social media glossary with all the strange words that people in social media use and social media hashtags for the aviation industry, and that was really well received for a particular campaign. You could do a buyer's guide. If you're looking for an aircraft preheat system or a flight school or a charter service, here are some of the questions you should ask. Because a lot of people don't know. They've never been in the market for that product before. All right, so let's look at how that looks on an ad. This is actually on a postcard. And, in this case, we've given a dollar value to our call to action or our offer, and we're offering several things. And in this case, it is it's our ebook plus emails, our weekly emails, plus our printed newsletter. And then we've put a package together and given it a dollar value. We've given some very specific instructions for what we want people to do. You can either zap this QR code, and that honestly is not as effective as it was 6 months ago when those were new and clever and cool and all of those things, but we haven't seen them used as much as we had hoped in the industry. So, I think we're better off with a phone number or with a landing page. In this case, browse to aviationbusinessconsultants.com/free book. And you'll notice we're not sending them to what?
The homepage.
Our homepage and saying...
Make a landing page for specific CTAs.
Right. And saying, go find this information on your own, or call our general number and be subjected to our phone tree. That's another thing we don't want to do. We want to make this as seamless as possible so that if somebody has an extra 5 minutes, they can do whatever we ask them to do in our call to action and get it done, have a good first interaction with our company, make it look like we've really got our act together, and carry on from there. So let's talk for just a minute about landing pages. A lot of people don't know what those are, but there's a bunch of ways to do that. You can buy a domain, and those are anywhere from $8 to $35, or if you want a very specific domain, it can be more than that. But you can do it fairly inexpensively and then just point that domain toward a very specific coded landing page that you use only for this one campaign that has your form on it and so on. So that's one thing, is to buy a whole domain that is maybe doesn't even have your company name in it or some variation of your product. Another way is to create a subdomain. And what that is this first part of your domain, like 30minutes.aviationbusinessconsultants.com, which is what you guys use to schedule our time for this class. That's a subdomain. And those are things that you can redirect, or your webmaster can redirect those for you. Just tell them you want to create a permanent subdomain, and they will set that up for you. And then the other thing is direct a page within your site. So you build a specific page and you want to make this a really easy domain that's easy to remember and easy to type in. So in this case, aviationbusinessconsultants.com/class. So, you can use your regular website, but you just want to make it super easy for people to get where you're sending them. And those are 3 different ways of doing it. Once again, buy a domain, create a subdomain, or direct a page. And the cost of doing any of these is so little in comparison with how much you're spending on an advertisement that it's just insane not to do this specifically for every advertisement you do. So then once you get to that landing page, what do you want, or what do you ask for when they get to your form?
All this stuff.
All this stuff. Thank you, John. Okay. Typical internet parlance is, required fields have this little asterisk by them. Now, all you really need is a first name and an email address, right? And then you can send them email forever. You're getting permission to market to them according to most of the laws and rules of things. They've requested information from you, so now it's legal for you to send them email. But we want to do more than that. Of course, we want to send postal materials. We want to create a little bit more of a relationship with them. We want to know a little bit more about them than that. So we have some information that's required and some information that's not required. First name, last name, company, street address, excuse me. So first name, last name, company, street address, and so on. Some other things that we ask are, how did you find us? Which is really important for the reasons that we talked about in the last video. We want to know which of our advertisements sent them here, especially if it's not where we thought it was. It's possible that they stumbled on this on the web, even if this is a landing page we set up for a specific ad.
But we can determine which ones are working best and do more of those, and which ones are working not so good and get rid of those.
Exactly. Another thing that we really like to do is this last question. Would you like us to contact you? And if they say, yes, please call me, then, obviously this is someone that needs information right now, and we should call them within minutes or hours of when we get this form from them. And we can have this form go to an email address or whatever we need to do to make sure that our sales guys are alerted that this person needs some help right now. And this is an opportunity. The other option, not right now, thanks, really lets them and us off the hook, because we know this is someone that's just doing research. They don't want to be bothered yet. A lot of people are not comfortable talking to a salesperson, especially early in the process. And this really lets them know, we're not going to bother you. We're just going to send you some information and let you take the next step. So we get a lot more responses since we've put this option on our form. Yes, please call me, or not right now, thanks. Very simple, and it also puts us in the right frame of mind for how to treat this particular customer. So we've got a form that's been filled out. Now what do we do? This is a campaign from, this is what this campaign sequence looks like in Infusionsoft, which is our CRM system. So basically they have filled out this form, and then we have a series of emails that we send them saying, thank you for downloading the ebook. Did you have any problems getting it downloaded? Did you have any questions that it didn't answer? And so on. And then we also have this other, which is basically a note to me to put together a little box of coffee and some sales materials and things like that. And then I send that to them in the mail. And I do that once a week with all of the requests we've gotten for the week. So that makes good use of my time, but it also puts our relationship with this person on another level. So it's not just email, and we're not just existing on the internet as a vapor corporation or whatever. We actually are real people that send real stuff in the real mail. So that puts our relationship on a slightly different level. Speaking of such things, we're going to talk about this in more detail in a later video, but we want to make sure that we're using a variety of different ways of communicating with each person. Again, we want to use some high credibility, high expense items mixed together with some low credibility, low expense items to balance our expenses in marketing with getting the best possible results. All right, so action items from this session. Think about what you can offer, and you can think about information products like ebooks, special reports, webinars, consultations, things like that are specific and thoughtful, all of those things, but low cost and low risk to them and to you. You want to think about what do you want in return, and you can balance that, ask more questions if you're getting too many garbage responses and too many goose chase kind of leads. And you can ask fewer questions if you're not getting enough leads at all. Then there may be something on that form that's making people hesitate to fill it out. So you can balance that level of what you're asking for to make that the right amount. You want to give very specific instructions. Again, send people to a specific landing page. Have them call a specific phone number where people will know exactly what they're calling about and be very responsive and helpful. And so on, and you want to over deliver. So make sure that ebook or that special offer is everything you say it's going to be, and don't overhype it and under deliver, because that's a very bad first impression. And remember that leads are perishable, so you want to make sure that you're following up with multiple methods and following up early and often. So what's next is, we've got a bunch of different short videos in this segment. And one long one, which will be our panel discussion that we're really looking forward to as well. So the next video is going to be about an example campaign. We touched on this at the beginning of this video, but we're going to talk in more detail about that. So thank you for joining us. We really enjoyed having you, and we're really happy that there are people in the aviation industry that are interested in upping their game and being more effective with marketing and sales.
Now this one's about 18 minutes. We're working on 15. See you next time. Thanks.
You could.